Evening airmen from all over America who might be joining us tonight. This is our first ever live stream that we've ever done for the Order of the Arrow. My name's Ed Lyons. I'm a vice chairman of the National Committee. Got two pals of mine here. We'll do some introductions. So throw it over to you to start, Mr. Chief.
Thanks, Ed. My name's Josh Ranier. I serve as the 2026 National Chief. I get the privilege of working with these fine gentlemen this evening and throughout the year. Scott?
Hey, I am Scott Beckett. Hello, everyone. Live these days in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm also a member of the National Order of the Arrow Committee. Serve as a vice chairman along with Ed over all the non-sexy things like in the world of operations. So, hello, everyone.
Cool. And Sean Knight finally showed back up. So Sean, we got you.
Yeah, hey everyone. My name's Sean Knight. Like Scott, I also live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am a member of the National Committee and have been helping with all this induction stuff and excited to answer all your questions tonight.
I actually had no idea you live in Charlotte. Is that true?
Yeah, I live 2 miles from Scott.
Are you from the Midwest? I thought you were from the Midwest.
Yeah.
I am. I grew up in Michigan. Did all my scouting in what was the Chippewa Lodge in Michigan, which was fun because when I went through the induction experience, I did it at E2, which was hosted by what is now still technically my lodge. So that was a cool experience to go back to a lodge event for the first time in a lot of years.
He always
Wes.
throws me off because he
Yeah,
wears
exactly.
the Michigami.
I'm
Doesn't
still
change.
registered there. I've never moved my registrations. Still registered in Michigan.
For any younger airmen watching, this is like the great curse of scouting, which is no matter where you move ever in your life, wherever you grew up is always going to be where people think you're from. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we're here tonight to talk about the induction experience, and I hope people watching have either gone to one already or have made plans to go to one. We got a lot of them coming up here in the fall, which is pretty exciting. But maybe Sean, just a little warm up for us here before we get started. You want to tell us a little bit about? I think we got almost 40 of them, the induction experiences that are happening in August and September.
Yeah, that's right. So some of you out there may know we, are having our first big push really comes from the sections, right? And sections are offering these inductions experiences, and yeah, Ed, we had I think 4 of them occur sort of scattered throughout this late spring and early summer. But between the first weekend in August and I think basically all the way to Labor Day, I think Labor Day is a quiet weekend. People didn't schedule things for the holidays, but in those 4 or 5 weekends in there, we've got somewhere between 5 and 9 happening every weekend at the section level. And there's a couple lodge ones that have taken place over the summer as well. So plenty of opportunities in the month of August to go see this thing.
It's pretty awesome. I did mine in New Jersey a few weeks ago. I mean, I've seen a couple of them, but I haven't had the opportunity to. I went through one and saw a couple, but I think Josh, you had probably the most recent experience. You was in LIE a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I actually just got back from LIE this past weekend and super cool opportunity. I mean, during it, I actually had a guy who got inducted in 1987. He's seen multiple revisions of our ordeal ceremony, and it was probably one of the coolest moments I've had so far. Is he came up to me and he goes, we really got this right. This is by far my favorite version of the ordeal. And, I thought, wow, that's amazing, right? Just to see, this is a guy who's seen a lot of years of our organization's history, and to, like this one the most was truly impressive. And I thought super unique.
Yeah, Scott Beckett doesn't think 1987 is a lot of years, but that's fine. Yeah, exactly. And did you break his heart and tell him it's not the ordeal anymore?
I actually did. I told him it's the induction experience, and he didn't seem to really care. He was just like, I like the experience.
When he said we got it right, did he say anything that we had gotten wrong?
No, it was a quick conversation.
Josh took the win. He was like, "Did you do anything right?" Josh was like,
I don't want to hear anything
yeah.
else. Good. You're enjoying the calamari. Goodbye. I'll see you in 45 minutes.
That's right.
So for anyone that's watching right now, I just want to let you know, YouTube has temporarily flagged our feed here, so the comment sort of bar has turned off. So the ability for you guys to ask questions might be a little impacted there. If you just comment on the actual post. I think you should be able to get that. And if you can't, we'll come up shortly in a second here with a way for you to comment. But we're now kind of in phase one of this rollout of the induction. If you're watching this, you may know that we had a variety of national induction experiences. There were 6 sort of national inductions that we ran all over the country. It was a chance for this kind of first wave of lodges to really see the induction, experience the induction. We're big believers that the best way for people to learn about this is just to, like being a regular airman, is just to go through it, right? And so we've been trying to give people the opportunity to do that through the national induction experiences, and now we're kind of cascading that out to the rest of the organization. So good news, the chat's back on. So if you have questions, go ahead and toss them in there. We'll try to answer as much as we can. But as we get into this next phase of things, the big thing really is the luminary. If you haven't been through a new induction, the luminary is the thing that really makes it different. The relationship you have there. Poor Scott Beckett spends like 3 nights a week doing luminary training, which is pretty cool. So Scott, I don't know, anything for the people watching at home you think is or even, I haven't been to luminary training, so maybe for me, like what are people talking about? What's exciting about the luminary world?
Well, I have 6 hours of slides I could pull up if you want to.
Please don't. Yeah, pass.
Well, I think there's a bunch of things, and everyone who's experienced it just add in, because you either had a luminary, some of you've actually done that. So what the luminary is think about the term luminary, to light the path or to guide the way. And this is, I think, the heart, y'all, of what this is about. In our current ordeal, what we've had for a number of years, we've had this Alangamat. And the Alangamat, when I was a lodge advisor for 5 years, and so I can tell you there were times where we had really prepared and had some great Langmats, and then there were times where we had to grab a person or two in the parking lot, probably more than I'd like to admit, and just commit them into service. And that wasn't there. These luminaries are guides. They are people to help facilitate a conversation. They are people there to help get the questions that can really help provoke people in a good way. Because look, the old ordeal, which probably many people on this live stream saw, like I'd been through mine, and then I'd been through, I don't know, probably 150 of them over time. We didn't have a way to know whether or not Brotherhood Chopal Nurse and Service was actually being created in people's hearts and minds and spirits. We hoped that was happening, but they were kept silent the whole time. Didn't have really an opportunity to meet other people and talk and know anyone when they left. They didn't have the chance to kind of understand what service was about, other than just we made them work real hard. And so being able to both have them go through an experience, but then also to process the experience in a conversation, that's the key role of the luminary. It's a glue, it's a guide, it's a trusting soul, it's somebody who just gets behind. So the luminary, if you want to think about it this way, is a ceremony team probably is going to take 8 to 10 to 12, maybe more hours to rehearse, to practice, to get themselves ready to deliver one of those ceremonies. That will be the same sort of deal that we've got with luminaries. And we've had now, as we've done the national induction experience, section experience, we've had people now that are going second and third luminary time as they start into their lodge, and they're going through the training a third time because that's how valuable it is. So, I'm really excited. I'm really excited by it. So I want to toss that out for you. Yeah.
I think that's awesome. We, for those who don't know, we've already had 2 lodges that have started to induct new members using the new induction, and we do a little survey to kind of see how it's working. And what we're hearing is from everybody that the luminary is the best part of their experience, which hits home for me. When I was a youth, a Langamat chairman was the first job I ever had in the lodge. And Scott, it's cool to hear you talk about how excited people get, because if you want to know how I became a Langamat chairman, I got inducted to the ordeal I came back to the next ordeal and I showed up on Friday night and they said, "Oh, like, are you a member?" And I said, "Yeah, I got inducted in the spring." And they said, "It's great. You're the Langamat chairman now." And
Yeah.
that was really exciting for me. Which the good news though is I never had to be in a Langamat because I was always chairman, so it was good. Which is pretty exciting.
And I got my start the same exact way. To
Is that
be
true,
totally
actually?
honest. Yeah, it totally is. The first role I ever held in our organization after losing chapter chief was a Langmat chairman. And I did that for a number of years. And, now I got to be a luminary. I've been a luminary once, and I cannot wait to do it again this fall, to be totally
That's pretty
honest.
cool.
It was
We'll follow up on that chapter chief thing later. Just FYI.
We didn't have chapters in my lodge, which was good. I go straight to the top. I'm not a very patient guy, so it's probably better that way. There's a comment from someone who actually asked. They went through the ordeal, they left, they want if they come back. The answer is, I mean, always. Scott talked a few seconds ago about how this new induction's really about leaning into brotherhood, cheerfulness, and service. And I think for me, the coolest thing about the OA is if you leave, it's like you never and come back. It's like you never left. I know a lot of us. I don't know, Josh, you're still a youth, but Scott and Sean, I don't know if you guys did this. Like I left for a couple of years, right? I went to college, kind of dialed back, and then came back to a conference, and it's truly. Everyone still thinks you're from Michigan, as Sean knows, but like you can leave and come back, and no one, you don't miss a beat. So, yeah, if you're posting and you're not sure about whether you have a place, I mean, definitely we come to a lodge event, come to a conference. It'd be great to have you.
And as you talk about that, like we just had a luminary training last night, the third of three, and that we did with this cohort. It takes about 2 hours each one of those sessions. And the question came up, and we had this great conversation as we talked about at the heart of this the one of the ceremonies, the part of the history part. We're actually using the history of the Order of the Arrow, and where we started from, which is as many people know, Treasure Island outside there in Philadelphia. And what is in the current ordeal ceremonies, whatnot, is stories that are taken from American literature, James Fenimore Cooper and whatnot, that we kind of essentially borrowed and built on and whatnot. And they, those are great stories, and they served us well, and the metaphors serve well. But as we looked at all of this, the order itself has an amazing story to tell, and there were adults and youth in this group. We had about, I don't know, 30 some odd people on that call who had like, wait a minute, when I went through the experience, they did this thing where did they actually put their arms around a tree? And we talked them through, like, yeah, those were actually the trying to go up the hill, and you needed support with that, the sticks that burn the fire brighter and brighter. And that's amazing, because in 1910, that's what we were talking about, and here we are in 2026, and those, like Ed you just said, I mean, it's the friggin' fundamentals of this whole thing, which is, just extraordinary. So I know that I was way back at the Order of the Arrow Trail Crew back in the 90s, and if you've never been a part of that, on the very first Trail Crew banquet at the end of the 2 weeks, there was this old log that was found, and they put 15 candles on that and lit them for the banquet. It was cool, and then we did it the second week, we did the third week, and all the way through the summer. And 20 years later, 25 years later actually, that same log with all the candles that have been added, it's just a huge, massive thing of wax. And why I love that is everybody who was there when their wax melted is somehow in that, and we don't know those names. And there's been names from the 20s and the 60s and the 90s and the 2010s and last year, and none of those names will be there, but that's what makes the Order of the Arrow great 30 years from now. The work that you are all doing, the ceremonies you go through, that's all part of it. So it's fantastic that that's a legacy that we have: brotherhood, cheerfulness, and service.
That was deep, man. That was great. Or someone commented in the chat. They asked, "What's the big difference between the old ordeal and the new induction?" I mean, maybe there's like a policy answer to that, but I mean, all of us have, been through the induction, so why don't we do a quick, like, round robin? Sean, we'll put you on the spot to go first. Like, having obviously been through a couple ordeals and now having gone through the new induction, what for you was the big difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but when I did my ordeal, I actually joined the OA. I think I was either 16 or 17 because I drove to it. I didn't know the OA existed until I went to summer camp and saw it, and went there thinking like, oh, these guys at summer camp that do the OA are really cool. And I worked at a summer camp that wasn't for the lodge that I joined based on where my council was. I got there and it's like you didn't talk to anyone. You worked, you hung out and worked all day. And when I left, I knew my brother and the one other kid from my troop who went with me, and that was it. And in the new induction, as you're going through that, there's a lot of people. We've even in the chat today, folks have brought up some things about ceremonies. There's a lot of people that think it's about that, but really it's about leaving there excited to be in the OA and have people that you're going to want to go back and hang out with. Ed alluded to this earlier, right? But you were saying like, it's that lifelong friend talking to that person who said, "Hey, can I come back?" Right? And I think now you have the opportunity to come out of that experience, like having experienced that and doing that. And even for me, as someone who went through it, getting to hear the stories from the other adults that were in my luminary crew, I connected with them, right? We all had really, meaningful things to say about what scouting means to us. And, the only thing I can tell you about my ordeal is that we were told, be happy you're not in that trailer because everyone in there is going to tar fences and you all aren't going to be covered in tar at the end of the day. And so, right, I think it's just that night and day difference of like the personal connection and feeling more connected to the things that we're doing in the OA and the values that we hold so dear. So yeah, for me, night and day difference. Really, that connection is huge.
That was a fantastic on-message answer, spoken like a true member of the national committee. Josh, what's your like personal side of this? What's kind of different for you between ordeal and the new induction?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, right, when I showed up to my ordeal, I was 13, didn't know anybody, and when I walked in, I knew 10 kids that stood next to me the whole weekend. We were laughing, we were joking, but none of us knew each other on the personal end of it, right? I walked away, and all I had left with me was 10 strangers that I had kind of talked to, not really. And when I went through this new process, I had 10 people that, I knew where they lived, I knew where they were from, I knew what they liked, what they didn't like, what they wanted to do with their future. And to me, right, as a social guy, obviously, I mean, I never shut up. I loved it, right, because I got the opportunity to meet people, talk to them, and get to know them. And so for me, that really changed the ball game.
Cool. So I'm going to have Scott and I go in a second, but real quick first, a little quick station ID for those people that have joined. We've got a lot more activity in the chat, so I think we got some more viewers. Some quick introductions. My name's Ed Lyons. I'm a vice chairman of the National Committee. I'm here with three great friends of mine. That was your cue for one of you to jump in and introduce yourselves.
My name's Joshua Nero, and I serve as the 2026 National Chief.
I'm Scott Beckett. I'm on the National Committee. I'm one of the vice chairs.
And I'm Sean Knight. I'm also on the committee and help with the inductions rollout.
Cool. So we got a couple like round robin questions that have popped up in the chat. So I want to knock out a few of these because I'm sure some people are tuned in just to get some sort of hard hitting answers here. So number one, someone asked here a little bit about the Brotherhood ceremony. So I'll grab that one real quick. So the Brotherhood ceremony, real exciting. If you're going to the Jamboree next week, we're actually piloting the new Brotherhood ceremony at the Jamboree next week. It's going to be a continuation of the current sort of new induction story. It'll get piloted at the Jamboree. We're going to go through a revision process this fall. So really exciting. If your lodge has done a lodge induction experience, you'll be eligible to do the pilot. So if you guys are one of those sort of 50-something lodges, 60-something lodges that will have done an induction coming into September, you can sign up to run the new Brotherhood ceremony. Give us your feedback. Would love to hear what you think about that. And we're going to get that probably approved by the committee in January. The goal is that every lodge moves to the new Brotherhood 6 months after they start inducting people with the new induction. So that way people kind of continue on the same path. So your lodge might be doing both the new induction and the old brotherhood for a short period of time to overlap. But by January, your lodge will have the revised ordeal, or excuse me, induction, which you guys have, the revised brotherhood, the vigil, which the changes are very, very, very minor too, just kind of some quick sort of script cleanup stuff. That'll all be available to you in January. But if you're doing brotherhood now, keep doing it. Get your lodge induction done, sign up for the pilot, and then of course we'll would love to have your feedback and then get that rolling out next year. Sean, there was a question about whether there will be an inductions committee at NOAC. I feel like did I get this right? Are you involved in the conference? You must be.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, so we will have the inductions committee, and I think you'll see a lot of similar types of program, but obviously centered around the new induction, right? And really excited for what they're going to offer. Just worked on identifying who our leaders are going to be for that come 2027. Putting on my other hat in the OA, Ed's alluding to that, but I'm actually super involved with the conference, so hope to see as many of you as we can at the University of Illinois. But yeah, we will have inductions. We imagine we'll have ceremonies, competitions, all those types of things. So be practicing as you're doing your rollouts and getting ready to meet us in Illinois next summer.
Awesome. That's sweet.
I look at the thing about the induction piece too, everyone, is that the place where you're going to really see this is if you have not gone through it yet. That's the number one thing that you can do. I was a part of the writing team and the idea team 18 months ago, and was a part of kind of developing out these ideas and thoughts all the way that got us to last July's NCOC, where we piloted it in real life, and literally having worked on scripts and activity items and exercises. I was the lead advisor for the induction experience part, so I worked very closely with the writing team, all the youth leads and stuff. So I think I knew what I was getting into. When it came alive for the very first time, which was just a pilot at the NCOC, holy smokes. And I don't know if any of you have ever had that experience, and maybe it's going to Philmont or Northern Tier. You've seen pictures, people have talked about it, but until you are standing on the tooth of time at 5:45 in the morning as the sun crests the eastern horizon, or you've seen pictures of what it's like to be in a gorgeous place like Hawaii, but until you have your feet in the sand and the water rolls in and all that. Not even close to being the same thing. So as you look at the inductions, there's a lot for us to train, but there's also so much that's similar from the past. It's really evolving, but evoking what is key around brotherhood, children, and service, doing that in a way where the experience is challenging, the experience is inspiring, if it's a word that you like. It's an experience that is for sure has you looking at some things that you don't do. But I used to have to deal with a lot of parents when I was a lodge advisor, and they'd say, the kid hated it. I said, yeah, we do call it the ordeal. It is an ordeal. And I just why are the group of us, when you take 100 kids that go through an induction, and 88 of them do not come back to 2 or more events. So all the rest of us, we loved it, but wow. And I realized, if you ever seen the movie The Shawshank Redemption, that last scene where he has to crawl through a long tube of gunk, yeah, it's great. Your ordeal's great. You just have to crawl through this tube. So we're not trying to make it easy, and I don't think it's easier. I actually think it's harder, because it not only involves service, it not only involves being out in your camp, but it involves looking at questions that, whether you're a 43-year-old, a 63-year-old, or a 13-year-old, many of these questions you haven't really looked at before. And so the heart, the mind, the spirit are all challenged through this induction experience. So it's richer, It's bolder, and then when you go through and watch that ceremony, you'll see so much that you remember from what you've been, but you'll also see some new applications of it. So I think
Did you just accidentally admit to being 63? Was that what I got out of that?
I-
I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
I'm actually 62.
Oh, wow.
I still get a printed newspaper sent to my house every day, so I might as well be. But,
Yeah,
And did you have hair at one point, or?
Yeah, ooh, yeah, when he was national chief, so don't get too
Yeah,
excited there,
Steve, I
sport.
wouldn't,
You
I
could,
wouldn't get
yeah,
mouthy
yeah,
about it.
that could be
Looks
your
a lot
future
like that
down
guy.
there. Yeah. So there's two kind of items in the chat that I think are worth touching on. A couple questions from Reality is Straight, great YouTube name, by the way, about the Alangamat. He's obviously been in Alangamat. I joked earlier that my first job was Alangamat chairman, but I never had to be in Alangamat. But I actually went back. Here's something to blow everyone's minds here. I went back to being a Langamat because my lodge had a flap. The lodge I was in when I was a kid. I flew back to Boston to be in a Langamat just to get the flap. So don't say it doesn't work. But
And we're starting to be more similar. My lodge also had a flap.
yeah.
So.
Sorry, what was that, Scott?
Was this pre-eBay? Like you were truly going for the flap? Or?
So only patches I've ever collected. I got one of every flap that my lodge when I was a kid, or every patch has. But then it merged, thank God, so I could just cut that right off. But but there's a question about the difference between being a Langamat and being a luminary. I would just say to folks, the jobs I actually think are not that different. I think that's a big misconception, as people kind of say, like, I wasn't a Langamat, I want to be a luminary. The spirit, I think, of being an Alangamat and being a luminary is pretty similar, right? I mean, Alangamat means friend. We all know that. Alangamat was there to guide people through the induction, take them through it, be their sort of guide through it. And I think, and Scott, you did the luminary training, but I don't think, I mean, the methods are different, right? There's obviously a lot more guidance. It's more like being a crew guide in a NYLT or NLS experience. But I mean, philosophically, the idea of binding people together, I don't think it's changed that much.
No, I don't think it's changed that much. I would say for sure that there's a structure around it. You know, if you look at what it takes to be a luminary, we've told stories earlier where you can get grabbed in the parking lot and essentially, hey, make sure none of these people get lost. Make sure they're at the ceremonies. We're gonna do some work to keep them quiet. If anything's bad, health and safety, let us know. And be a role model as you go forward. Okay, nothing wrong with that. If you look at this now, from the get-go on Friday night, you're welcoming them. I mean, how many of us have gone to anything, scouting or a new job or school, a new classroom, and you don't know anybody, and you have to kind of like hope that someone comes and talks to you? Well, a luminary's job is to have you feel welcome from the beginning. And learning names, that's probably the most beautiful sound in any language, is someone else's hearing your own name. Being known by others, and then giving you a place where you can, hey, what is this whole thing about cheerfulness? And wait a minute, this guy's actually really role modeling this, but why is she doing that? Why does she think this is important? Why is he so excited about all this OA stuff? I've heard it's just this, this group where they have to do a bunch of hard work and you get a white thing to wear on your uniform. Oh no. So the luminary, we give a structure, a set of conversations. We give these things guidances. The participants will have journals, and they have actually some questions they can work through. So you go through an ordeal today, and nothing is explained to you except in the ceremonies. And most people are so dog tired, and they don't quite understand all that language anyway. You know, now you're getting introduced to the sign of the order, the song, the obligation, some of the history. You get to actually meet people. I think we have our rating is that 9 out of 10 people, and we've had about 1,500 people go through already, of members of the Order of the Arrow say, I actually met a new friend through this process. These are people already in the lodge. So how great will that be for people to truly have some people they know names of, they've understood some of the challenges, I like this kid, I like this other person because of what they've gone through. So they're going to walk away from the weekend a whole different thing. That would be great if our old Alangamat system was built for that, but that's not how the ordeal was built, and that's not what the Alangamat got provided for. So all of this comes together in a whole new way where people leave like, that was really great, that was satisfying, that was a great experience, and I know some people I can go talk to. Seem like
Yeah.
pretty big wins.
So I had a couple lightning round questions here. Someone mentioned, is the vigil ceremony changing? Vigil ceremony, very kind of small wording changes. Big picture would tell you no. I'm not going to spoil elements of the new induction, but I would tell you that actually the new induction lends itself really well to feeding through that with that kind of one character and all that. So no need to worry about that. That's going to stick right where it is. In terms of some questions about logistics, number one, yeah, the ceremony of the fire, which is the sort of second ceremony, definitely needs to happen at night. There's a little bit of a different structure to the ordeal or the induction now compared to the ordeal. Broadly similar. You come in Friday night, ceremony, the overnight, same as you have now. I'm not going to talk about that more because it's a public channel, but if you're a member, you kind of know what that looks like. You get up Saturday morning, breakfast, some reflection, some service, right? A lot of service actually. Afternoon cleanup, have some dinner, go to the ceremony of the fire. So the flow of it, the schedule of it, pretty similar to what you can experience now. We do sort of allow folks, right? Food's not really, with the exception of one activity, is not really as much of a feature as it was before. We do want to teach those same lessons. We do them through some different reflections and some different activities that I don't want to kind of break into here real quick. Some people did ask, which I thought was a great question, was if you're already a member, do you need to go back through the induction? So the literal policy answer to that question is no, you don't have to, not required. However, I at least think you should. I'll share from my end, like Scott, I've been involved in this thing since the beginning, and I've seen it. I saw it twice. So I saw it at Philmont when we did the pilot that Scott mentioned. I also got to see it as a pilot. I went to a lodge in New England and watched the pilot. But then I went through it in April in New Jersey, and I gotta tell you, the difference between watching and doing in this new induction is huge. Scott's talked a lot about the luminary. I was put in a crew with a bunch of people I didn't know, so all adults, but had my luminary was from Minnesota, Vicky, and then had a whole bunch of folks in the crew who were from Washington D.C., Connecticut, Pennsylvania, different parts of the Northeast, Massachusetts, and like Scott said, I met a whole bunch of folks I didn't know, made some friends. We got a text thread that's going that we, like us old people, text and talk about. Someone on there's got an Android, which is very disappointing, but otherwise it's a great thread. And yeah, hard pass on that. But anyway, so I think but that's a relationship right there. I don't think I ever would have built in the sort of previous induction. And it's cool to get to know people, get to know their experiences. I obviously have a world that I live in, and getting to know those people and hearing about their experiences in the OA, their experiences in scouting, very different than mine, was really cool. And I think I would just tell you, I was in a Langamat begrudgingly because I needed to get the patch. I did not want to go back through the ordeal. I would totally go through the induction again. I'm Sean Scott, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I liked it. Like I would do it again, not even as a luminary. Like if my lodge just said, hey, it would be cool to have you come do this. Like I thought it was fun. Like I genuinely really enjoyed it. I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I really liked it actually, just doing it.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I echo that sentiment. I can tell you, much like you just did, like who the people in my group were from, like something about each of them, right? I probably could get through about half their names, but like just spending a day with those people and hearing them, talk about their experiences and scouting, and especially, and I actually think this is a bit unique to it that frankly might even be more cool about the rollout, is like there aren't many times in your OA journey like that where you get to go and reflect on not just scouting, right? When you're going through the induction, you're reflecting on your scouting journey to that point, but for most people you're that's maybe a couple of years, right? If you're an adult, it might be a few years, but to do that, and I think especially for maybe some of our more senior scouters listening tonight, it's like for me, I was doing that and I'm thinking about well over 15 years of active volunteering in the OA, and most of you all who know me well, like, no, there's not really a component that's important to my life that hasn't been touched by the Order of the Arrow, right? So it's just, I think this is actually a unique time and where like we are doing that, and I think one thing I'd offer to people is like there's no rule that says you can't keep doing this in the future, right? Like it's a cool opportunity. And whether you're doing that now as a part of the rollout requirements, or you're a really big lodge and you have the ability to keep doing this, or even a small lodge, you have the ability to get people to get the opportunity to go through it. Like, I think it's really meaningful. It was a really cool experience to sit there and like think back on what the OA has meant to me, and have the opportunity to do that with some new people.
Look at Scott Beckett dropping into the chat on YouTube. So the whole reason we're doing this YouTube live stream for people that are watching, I have done a couple Reddit AMA threads, and the national chief here said, that's probably good for old people like you, but us young folks like to be on YouTube. And so we joined a YouTube live because Josh said that's where the young people would be. So Scott, I'm real impressed that you just slid right in there. That was really good.
I created this whole channel IRL, folks, like while this is happening. I also didn't like the handle they gave me, and I found that one. I like it.
Okay. So someone's asked a couple of times about ceremony sites. Your current ceremony site's going to be just fine. I would tell you again, without getting too into details, the ceremony on Friday night from a setup standpoint, very similar to the current ceremony that happens on Friday night. There's one staging element, but we actually send that to you. So your lodge gets a kit from us as part of getting going with the new induction. We provide you that. Likewise on the Saturday night ceremony, which has been called the Ceremony of the Fire, as some people have heard, you're good there too. So that kind of same traditional setup you've used. It's a couple small extra elements, a lectern, again, a backdrop, but we provide some of that stuff for you. So the headline is your current ceremony site, keep investing in it, keep making it awesome. A lot of lodges are proud of that, and the new induction is going to work perfectly in your current ceremony site. So no need to make any kind of changes there, which is great. I think one of the things that has come up a lot, obviously, here has been the ceremonies. And by the way, for those people asking questions, we will try to come back to them. I'm going to kind of weave in and out of a couple of things. I'm curious, Josh, Scott, Sean, were any of you guys ceremonialists when you were? I was going to say when you were youth. So Josh still is youth. Were any of you ceremonialists? Scott was. What role did you play, Scott?
I was obviously.
Obviously, okay, fine. All right, Sean and Josh.
I was Kitchener.
That's the easiest role. A good move. That's what you expect out of the national chief. I was the chief. Yeah.
I only did it once too.
Shaw, what was your? Did you do ceremonies?
I maybe twice helped with the pre-ordeal at summer camp, but aside from that, no. I was pretty new from the ceremonies experience.
All right, so. Josh, you're probably the closest to a ceremony, even though you only did like a half of one. What's any observation for the ceremonialists that were in the chat about just kind of things that they should think about with the new induction?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the new induction, right, like a lot relies on your like chief of the fire and like coordinating with that. The three voices kind of move together simultaneously, right? In a lot of instances. So timing is really important, and for ceremonialists, that's nothing new, right? You guys are always on point, and so I think just a big emphasis on timing, and you can really tell what I've noticed is the teams that practice together and like are friends and know each other because it feels natural, it just flows, and I think that's really important in this new ceremony is that it feels natural. Like you're telling a true and honest story, you know what I mean? Like it's just flowing, it's genuine. It gives that vibe, if you will.
So the thing I like about the new ceremonies is they come with costumes. So when I was a kid, my lodge had like the rattiest possible ceremonies costumes. They were not. They had seen better days. And then when I was a kid, one of the lodge advisors decided to buy the same ceremonies costumes he had in his lodge when he was a kid, despite the fact that he came from like a totally different part of the country. And they were these like little breechcloths with flowers on them. And so we all had to wear like black sweatpants and sweatshirts with these like little tiny flower things tied on top of them. It was terrible. So I think what I think is cool, I think the costumes are really neat. And if you're watching this in your lodge, the big part of the costumes are these capes we're going to give you, and you should customize those, right? So the capes are designed for your lodge to put on them your lodge history, your patches, patches from predecessor lodges. We really want you to make those your own. We're going to do one for the national chief and vice chief, right? They can kind of wear as part of their ceremony. So it's pretty cool. For a couple questions, I think this person who's asked here, I think, is from the West and has asked a couple times. So the cascade model of this, every section is going to offer a section induction experience, and every lodge is going to offer a lodge induction experience. No matter where you are in the country, the induction is going to come to you. The rollout is going to run through next April, so it could take a little time to get there. There's a huge wave of people that are going to start doing this in the next couple months, and it'll continue to go from there, but there will be one coming to you. And then if you're watching this and you're a lodge leader, I would tell you, I would advise you to keep having member crews over the course of the next bunch of years. Like, you're going to do this first cascade, you're going to get it out, but I think you're going to have people that come back and want to do this again. I'd also tell you, for what it's worth, I don't know if we have a policy on this, and I'm going to be a bad sort of committee member here. Scott or Sean, you can slap my wrist if you know about this, but I don't think we have a policy on this. You could also do mixed candidate and member crews. I mean, one of the things that's kind of cool about the new induction is I don't think there's a specific reason why you couldn't have a member and a candidate both participating again in the same crew. But I think, definitely would plan on people continuing to go through this, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities. But someone asked earlier, if there was one message you could communicate to people who don't support or aren't excited about the new induction, what's the message? And I think the message is, Scott.
Yes.
What's the message, man? Someone doesn't support the new induction. Yeah, I'm calling on you. Yeah, you gotta wake up.
Is that
Yeah.
The one message is that this induction is something that people love.
Yeah,
And
go to it. Yeah, go to
Go
it.
to it and
Yeah.
experience it, and you're going to see what other people are talking about and dealing with it. So,
All right. Scott
Just,
Scott didn't get the alley-oop there. I tried on it. That was guy threw it up.
Tried so hard.
Yeah, I threw it up, and
yeah,
that's okay.
That's okay. These aren't. You can tell this is not rehearsed, everyone. That's, but the whole part, though, everyone, is that the thing about go to it. So we have a couple comments in the chat, if you've seen, about people asking what to do. So the cascade that we came up with was we if you've been on a trek of any sort of kind, or you've been at Northern Tier, or whatever you've been through, when you're hiking down the trail and you get to a Y, you make sure that your entire crew is there before you choose one of those two directions to go, because you want to make sure everyone's with you. And one of the things that was really, really important for us is that we wanted to make sure every lodge, like Ed said, has the opportunity to experience this. And to experience it, someone's got to provide an experience. And so part of those experiences early on this spring were the National Induction Experience, where exemplar lodges that were chosen when their section went. But what the onus of that was that they were then going to be those lodges that needed to be essential to putting on the section induction experience. And so that helped lodges in that section come, which not every lodge was able to go do just because of timing or schedules or distance or whatever it might be. And so, like Ed just said, once you see one, that's the first step. Then we want you to do one, which is then to offer that for existing members, not only of your lodge, but offer that and have, if there's a space, have people from other lodges be able to come. And don't just do it once. You want to have as many people as you can possibly can go through this. But the third step is, after you see one and you do one, then the third step is we'd like you to offer one. I personally don't think you should rush to offer them yet, but that's okay. You can do it. I want you to have as many of your members go through. But we have lodges who have offered this, and newly elected people from their units have come, and this has been their very first experience from the Order of the Arrow. We had a national webinar, 4 weeks ago, and our lodge, Tacone and Tatona, that was my old lodge. Tatana and Nakano, we had the lodge advisors and the lodge chiefs talk about how they did that. And I think Stu Smith is one of those lodge advisors, so you might see him speak up in the chat as well tonight. So it's go do it. you don't know anything about it until you've gone and done it, and then that is seemingly really working for a lot of folks.
That's awesome. So, quick kind of again station ID here. Had some new people that have joined the YouTube. For those that have dialed in here, I'm Ed Lines.
I'm Josh. I serve as the
Alright.
national chief of the Order of the Arrow.
And I am Scott Beckett. I'm on the National Order of the Arrow Committee.
And I'm Sean Knight.
Yeah, good. All right, you guys got to watch more NPR to get that introduction thing down. Some fresh air, but or listen to some more NPR. So we're going to keep talking about the induction here. For those that are watching, again, if we've missed your question, just drop it back in the chat. We're trying to kind of get to as we get to. New kind of theme for the power round here. We have about 45 minutes left in our live stream. So if you're watching, the invitation is to drop into the chat questions that you have always wanted to ask a member of the National Committee but thought you probably shouldn't, and we'll see how many of those that me, Scott, and Sean can answer here as we go. But this is a chance to just have a conversation, a dialogue as a membership, which is pretty exciting. Josh, obviously you came into the year right as the chief, knowing this was going to be the big thing this year. I'm curious, when you thought about your term, what was the one big impact you wanted to make around this?
Yeah, I think the one big impact, right? There's many, but a chance for kids to come in and learn the OA for who we truly are, right? I think in the OA, we all experience it, right? We have that culture, that feeling of friends and fellowship, but oftentimes, right, that ordeal that we were offering wasn't getting kids to experience that right off the bat. And, for me, myself, that almost pushed me away. But once I understood like who we are and got to know the people, I've since, met countless and thousands of great people that, I love talking to. And I would have lost that. And I think this new experience and coming into this year, that's what I was most hopeful for, is that we could experience that culture for all the new airmen for centuries to come.
Cool, man. So there's a question. Preston here is, I think this is the second time he's asked this question. His real name is Preston, but he's there's Preston Kunkel.
It was my section chief. I know Preston.
Oh, all right. Well, then you get to take this one. Or do you want me to take this one? The one about the new terminology to preserve the induction as a meaningful threshold. So I'll give a thought on this, right? I'll tell you, is the induction a meaningful threshold? I'd argue even more. And I want to think about the right way to answer this without giving away too much for people that haven't been. But, the old induction, the ordeal, very much felt like a thing you had to achieve, right? You went to it, like Scott said, the Shawshank example, you had to crawl through the end to get to the sort of point, and at the end you got your sash, and it was a victory, right? And I think that's how we think about a lot of things in scouting. You go do the requirements, you earn the badge, you earn the rank, you get to the next thing, and that, I know for me, was really meaningful. For all of you on this call, is pretty meaningful. People reading is meaningful, but the OA is like a fundamentally different thing. So you think about all these other things you earn. The OA is about other people recognizing something in who you are, right? And it's them seeing character traits in you, seeing a way that you deal with other people, the way that you treat other people, that they think makes you an airman. And I think what the new induction has, done really well, and Scott earlier phrased it as he thinks it's actually harder than the old induction, because I think the new induction has changed it from an external thing where you got to overcome these obstacles to get to the end, to an internal thing where you have to decide if you're worthy of this. And I won't go into the details, I don't want to spoil the induction for people, but I'll say, for me, the most meaningful part of the new induction is the change to the way that we do the sort of moment where you would get your sash in the second ceremony, which we all remember when we were, the old ordeal, the way the chief would come behind you and put the sash on you. That's changed in the new induction, as you may have heard. I'm not going to talk about in detail here, but I'm not generally known for getting the feels, as everyone on this call would tell you, but that got me, right? And I think the way that we now are very clear about challenging each other to live this thing, to live the admonition. I agree with Scott. It's harder. It's a much harder call for people. And I think to Preston's point, is it different? No question. is it meaningful? Is that threshold from becoming sort of someone who's just been elected to someone who's actually a member totally different? I mean, I think yes. I don't know, Josh and Sean and Scott, how you guys feel. I mean, Josh, any thoughts about that? I think it's way different. So
I I would agree. I mean, I think just the way you think about it, right? You go into more of a learning mindset. And, I think that's an important thing for an organization with so much history. Um, I think it encourages you to use different parts of your brain to think about the reflection and who you are as a person and what you're joining, who you are becoming. And I think that's really important and widely different than it used to be.
So Amanda here asked, how do you know if how's the luminary kind of know how to manage the crew? Scott, I'm gonna throw this to you real quick because I think again this is kind of that old paradigm, right? Of we think about, oh my gosh, it's Saturday morning, it's Saturday lunch. How could the luminary possibly know these people? Because the Alangamat doesn't even know these people, by the time they actually go to the ordeal ceremony, right? So I mean, without again kind of divulging too much, Scott, do you have any thoughts about how is it possible, right, that these luminaries actually know a little bit about their people just a day into this thing?
Yeah. So great two questions, Amanda, and in this forum, we're not terribly interested in spoiling a lot of the experiences at this point, but let me point to it. My first answer, if those are true questions for you, go through the experience and see what your luminary did in both those cases about lunch and at breakfast. At the heart of that of food, we just want you to know is there's enough things we got going on in life that meal and food insecurity driven by the order of the hour does not need to be one of them. We as luminaries, our job is to make sure people are taken care of. So what's going to happen is that the luminary is going to be looking for from the get-go. They're introducing one another. They're finding their names. They're listening and watching how people interact. They're with them in the ceremony. They're with them in the night without shelter. They wake up together. They debrief that. They're going to actually be talking this thing and finding how people got through, and if people are a little grumpy in the morning, or are they inspired by last night, they're going to go together and eat breakfast. And so the luminary's role is not just simply to take them to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, but they're part builder. Again, the luminary is the bringing the light and having the light shine and helping people to look and see things that they haven't seen themselves. And what I was talking with our luminaries just in the couple trainings we've done just this last cohort is that one of the weird things about the luminary job is even though there are things that you read, you convey, you talk, your main job is listening. Actually listening to the different kinds of things people say, to hear where they get excited, to hear where there's trepidation, to hear where they're not as comfortable speaking up, or what they're leaning into, or if there's something they're resentful about. And so that luminary role, everyone, this is not probably a role as your lodge develops this that a lot of 13-year-olds, 12 and 13-year-olds will do. Some might, but what I predict is that you will actually see that the luminaries in your lodge, this becomes something that people want to be doing, and you will see that those end up probably being older scouts and more tenured folks because of the impact. As we said, the kind of kids that come back and want to staff an NYLT, the people who sign up to be Order of the Arrow Trail Crew Foreman or Wilderness Voyage Foreman or whatnot, there's something special about the heart there, and that's the kind of thing that I think the luminary is really going to get drawn to. So, Amanda, if you haven't seen it, go see it, and you will probably have some clear answers to that. And the more you see it, like Stu mentioned in the chat, I saw him say, is he just got more and more into it the more that there's a part of it. So hopefully that's helpful, Ed.
And I think this is great. I think Antic Dinosaur, by the way, also a great name. One thing, Josh asked us to do this for young people, right, so they can engage. Scott, it's very clear to me that my YouTube name I picked was Ed Lyons, yours is Scott Beckett, and then if you read every other name in the YouTube thread, it is very obvious where you and I sit on the curve of like YouTube users, right? So yeah.
That's one with the Instagram usernames.
I haven't been on Instagram for a long time, but for those, I guess, who are watching, I'm the very deceptively hard to find Edward T. Lines on Instagram. So it's the same. It's the same thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pin,
I
pin,
don't. I don't.
pin his profile for. I'm sure one of these days something great will be posted.
Yeah. So it's all on LinkedIn. So, anyways, Antic Dinosaur, again, great name, asked us like, why such big changes? So, the first thing that I think maybe is counterintuitive because we're talking a lot about change. I would tell you, that's a great name too, Moccasin Man. I love them all. So I would tell you, from my view, there's actually less change than maybe it feels like, right? So I talk a lot to lodge leaders about this because they say, how do I prep? How do I get ready for the new induction? Well, like reality is where you think about how the current ordeal works. Now let's talk about how the new induction works. People show up on Friday night, they form up into their crews, they get to know each other a little bit, they get to meet their luminary, get together. Sounds a lot like what we do today. Some more structured activity there, but fundamentally same thing. They go off, they participate in a ceremony on Friday night. I'm not going to again divulge the ceremonies, but I think if you go to the ceremony, you're going to see pretty familiar in a lot of the beats, right? A lot of the things. If you're an arrowman, there's things you love about that pre-ordeal ceremony. I think you're going to see a lot of those same things in this new ceremony as well as part of that. Then people go out, they have the overnight that looks exactly the same as it does now. And again, I'm not going to get into what the sort of element of that is, but it's the same overnight experience people have now. You guys know what that looks like, feels right. You get up in the morning, right? What do you do all day? You do a lot of service, right? And Moccasin Man here's asking, what about the Spirit of the Arrow booklets? You think about what the Spirit of the Arrow booklets did really well. They gave people things to think about. They gave people things to reflect on. What we've done now, right, is we just do that together, right? We bring people together, we have those conversations. But I think if you love that Spirit of the Arrow program, a lot of those same things, a lot of those same conversations, you're going to see them in the activities you do with your crew. You spend the whole day in service. A lot of people might say, I really like the silence, right? And I think now still a lot of silence. It's more focused, it's more isolated. I don't know about you guys, when I go to current ordeals, we have a sort of the silence element to it, but certainly don't seem to stick to that very well. We've kind of focused that in, I think, in a way that's done a really good job making sure that when it happens, it's focused, it's meaningful. And then, some more reflections, some more activities, go off on a ceremony that, again, in a lot of ways looks pretty similar to the current sort of ordeal ceremony, what we now call the ceremony of the fire. So I'll tell you, I think if you go through it, my belief is you're going to see a lot more that's similar than different. And I think that is.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I would
No,
say
not at all. Yeah.
one thing that I see online is people chirping about there's less service, and I can tell you.
Hold on. Did you say people are chirping? Was that what you just said?
Like a
Wow.
Chirping?
Chirping.
That's
Wow.
a 21st
Yeah,
century.
that's pretty good. All right.
There.
Okay, tell us more, Boomer.
All right, thanks everyone. It's been great. So there have been comments. Now, one of the things people have said is like they have a complaint about the service. They think we're taken away from it. Actually, one of the major issues that has happened, which is so good through the NIEs and the SIEs that we've done, is that holy smokes, people who can speak to one another and are not malnourished and are actually in a cheerful mood get way more work done in the amount of time. And so in practice, the total amount of time, given that many lodges ended up wrapping up their service in mid-afternoon for lots of reasons, one of which was just exhaustion. I don't think that you're going to see any degradation in the amount of service done. You're actually going to see more. And we had one lodge that one of the big problems was the crew didn't want to come off their service project until they'd gotten it done to where they thought they needed it done. But holy smokes, we actually have to have some dinner and do a couple things before we get there. So yes, there is some change, but this is gonna be so familiar, and just the stuff that we love about scouting, the connection, the understanding principles of being cheerful in the midst of arduous circumstances, understanding that we've got brothers and sisters around us who are the kind of people who believe in the same sorts of values that we have in scouting. This is a really fantastic expression, and you'll probably see it when you go do it.
Well, and I think to piggyback on that, right, and then Sean, we've kind of cut you out of the conversation, or so I'm calling you a second, but I think piggyback on that. it's kind of funny, right? Like everyone in the OA loves service. That's a big thing that we do. I think it's what really gets us attracted to this thing. But I think Scott, what you hit on, which I agree on completely, is we also think service is fun. Like it's something fun to go do. And I think one of the things that was a little challenging about the older deal is that I think the silence element made the service feel like a burden, right? Oh, you got to go out, you got to do this, you can't talk, you have to toil. We use that phrase a lot, right? But every airman that I know does not see service as toiling. It's like, yeah, let's go get some work done. Let's go do some stuff. Let's work on camp. Let's go help make this better. This is great. And I think that spirit that's changed now, right? People talking, people singing, people having laughs. Not only forget that there's more work getting done, which I think is true. I think it's also more consistent with the experience that all of us have had, right? As a member, you go do service not because you have to, not because you got a gun to your head, not because you're required. You do it because, again, it's who we are. It's what we love. It's what gets us excited. And we like doing it together. And I think we've created an experience that before you had to come back a couple times to see that. I think now if you're a new member, like right out of the gates, you can get like, I get why these guys do that. That feels really cool. Now, Sean, I don't know if you're a big service guy, from what I understand. So I don't know if you have a thought on that.
Yeah, I mean, don't we all kind of have to be? I think, you know.
I don't know. The rest of us on this call did a big service project, and you ducked out of that. So
I don't know about that, but
for those watching, sorry, I'm not going to be mean about that. Keep going. It's fine.
No, I think, you know, when I think back to doing it, right, it's like not only were we, you know, faster, but like it's just like the little things of like how you can show that you also care about the people you're around, right? Like we at my, and I will say we only worked for probably about 30 minutes before a massive thunderstorm just downpoured on us. But as Scott said, we got a lot done, but also we were like removing brush from a berm, right? And it was little things like there was poison ivy that I almost stepped in, and someone could say like, "Hey, watch out for that," right? And so, you know, you're just like if you were quiet, it's like, oh, do I tell the person, right? Like, so, you know, yeah, I think the service, like, both in practicality, it's easier to like do the things and have that experience and just like show the little care and signs and, you know, tell. That's it's kind of like, you know, at the office they say water cooler talk. Like that's when the water cooler talk comes, right? Yeah, the reflection and structure is really good, but like standing there hypothetically next to Josh on the hill and he tells me this story about, you know, this thing he does back home in his spare time, and all of a sudden we've got this connection. Like that's really cool. But yeah, I definitely echo your sentiment, right? Like this is something we want people to be excited to do, and it shouldn't be this like, oh, I'm going to come and do this thing in silence. And, you know, I think at the beginning I told the story about when I went through mine, and we were just praised that we weren't so unfortunate to be in the other group, right? It wasn't like this, oh yeah, everyone's doing these fun things together. Yeah, so I think it's been interesting to see, because that is a question we get a lot, right? Oh, there's less service hours, and you know, I think as people go and do their inductions experiences, whether you're a section exemplar or an LIE, you'll see that you know, I think I saw Stu comment in there, right? We ran out of projects, right? And I think we've heard that a lot. So hoping that, you know, it not only is it better for the participants, but better for the camps too.
And I actually have, you know, it's very difficult to quantify because we have 240 lodges and every schedule's different, and every lodge's ordeal, it's not necessarily the same. But pretty much, in an ordeal, you get up, you do the morning thing, you have the Spirit of the Air booklet, they get the scanned food they have, and then they'll start working at about 8:30. It's kind of a very typical sort of thing. They'll go through, they'll take a break or two, they'll have lunch, and they usually get a respite there and a Spirit of the Air booklet, and then they work for a couple more hours. That's pretty consistent with what this is, and the productivity is just, you know, way there. So anyway, just I don't want this to be that it's a less or more. We don't even have facts on it, but it looks more. That's for sure.
So comments thread has died down a little bit on YouTube, so I think we got to have some real talk to get the people engaged here. So question number one, based on Scott, what you just said, scant food from the old ordeal. One food item that you wish was you could still have in the new induction. One scant food item. So you get to reach into that old paper bag that they gave you while you're sitting in the campfire circle silently reading that Spirit of the Arrow book. One food item that you get to bring with you to the new induction.
Well, at my advanced age, I'm going to obviously say the hard-boiled egg. I mean,
Still in the new induction, man. Bad answer. Yeah. All right.
It's
You still get
concerning that
that.
was
Yeah.
your first
Yeah.
choice.
But
though.
you still get it. That doesn't count. Still get it. All right.
Right.
Josh,
No. I mean, I would go for like either chips or an apple. I
you got
mean,
chips?
wow.
hey,
Yeah.
let me
Okay.
tell
Oh,
you.
This is this.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why our generation thinks
forgot.
you guys. Yeah. Yeah. This is. Wow. Are you Gen Z or Gen Y or what? Gen Alpha? What are you?
I'm not sure. I think it's the last one. I think it's Z.
Generation Soft. Chips at the ordeal. All right.
Generation
Sean. Yeah.
I'll take an apple.
Uh,
though.
All right.
Well, I'm definitely not picking the hard-boiled egg because I remember
Yeah.
getting one and I hated hard-boiled eggs as a kid.
Oh.
Like I'll even now eat the outside but not the inside. It's like chalk. But I would probably pick the piece of fruit because like the apple is markedly better than the chalky egg.
You eat the
right.
hard-boiled egg. You eat the hard-boiled egg like it's an apple. Like you don't touch the core.
No, I literally peel the white off the outside. I don't. The yellow inside is gross.
That's
It's
kind
like
of
so dry
disgusting.
and chalky.
Yeah, that's some unhinged behavior.
Yeah,
We'll
I
have to
mean,
go back to that. Yeah.
we're going to need to go deep on this.
Yeah,
one.
we're gonna talk about this not after the live stream ends. I don't want to subject your fellow airmen to whatever's going on in there. All right. My answer is obviously slice of bologna. I mean, like, come on, right? Like, I never get bologna. Slice of bologna is great. So, it's like
Let me
childhood
tell
food.
you, Ed. I went to breakfast with him one time. He loves bologna. He loves
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
the stuff they serve in Philadelphia. It was
You don't get this beautiful skimping on your processed meats, Josh. Let me tell you. So, yeah. So sticking with the theme of real talk. So we've been doing a good job, I think, towing the party line. One thing you guys think we still have to work on, right? Like new inductions rolling out, but it's obviously the last induction had about 50 years of refinement and development. I think new inductions in every way a huge step forward, right? Really good, but give it to me, guys. If there's anything or one thing you think we should keep
Here's what
refining.
I'm most
Yeah.
worried about. If you want real talk,
Yeah.
I'm worried that lodges will half-ass it. And I think that part of why people don't like our experience today is they're not well done. We have ordeals that aren't well done. We have lodge banquets that aren't well done. We have conclaves that aren't well done. And so many places attendance is just the kind of people who come to it over and over and over, but the ones that are there for a first date don't like it. And what makes anything great is operate whatever you're going to do it well. And there's a great saying, which is how you do any one thing is how you do everything. So if you got great ceremony teams, you probably have great luminaries, you'll probably have great ordeal management, and that is our responsibility, that if someone is willing to come try us out for a weekend and go through their induction and pay money to have the thing, we've got to have it well done. And that's my big concern, is that we won't do that.
Yeah, I think before we zip to Josh and Sean, there's a couple comments in the chat, which like I agree with Scott what you just said, and I think look, we're making a big bet here. The new induction asks more of lodges. And someone said, "What about the luminary that shows up on Friday night?" It's harder to be a luminary than it was to be an Alangamat. There's definitely a need more people to run this new induction. I think we have to, as a brotherhood, guys, change the way we think about this, right? Like we're in this mindset of, will people come back? When I got inducted, there were 2 ordeal ceremonies, so there were at least 75, 80 kids at my induction. I was the only person from that induction that ever got involved in the lodge, ever came back, ever became a committee chairman, ever became an Alangamat. That's 75, 78, 90 kids that just walked out the door in May of 1997 and never came back to another induction after that. And I think, to me, the bet of the new induction is that, like Scott said, if we it's going to be hard. We're all going to have to step up in the next 2 years. We're all going to have to do more. We're all going to have to make it awesome. The bet is, if we run an induction that people leave and at the end they go, "Whoa, holy cow, that was awesome. I want to do that again," right? Like, let's not try to build for how we recruit in a world where we can't get Alangamats. Let's recruit for a world where we do something so awesome people want to do it with us. And I think that it's going to be hard, and we're all going to have to work on it together. But like, I agree that's the biggest risk, Scott. But like, man, if we can nail that, it's going to change everything for our lodges, for the order, right? For scouting, it's going to be awesome. So, Josh, give me your thing you think we should still work on.
I think what we're gonna find that we should still work on, and what I have found is right. We're gonna clean up the schedule, but also I think we're gonna sub in new experiences, take out old experiences, right? Tweak the ceremonies. Those things are gonna change, but I think in general, right, we nailed how the weekend flows. Is there some things, little things in the schedule that could be better? Of course, right? But that's, bound to happen in something that's new. We're not perfect. Things are going to happen like that, but I think the biggest thing we have is probably as time evolves, we'll sub out some experiences for different and new experiences to work with our youth of that generation.
And I'd say,
Sean?
Josh, there were a couple. Sorry, but if I can
Yeah.
just build on that for a second, like we had a couple comments in the thread, and I've had different people ask me this about because some lodges have a schedule now where they do their ordeal ceremony like at 4:30, and I ask them usually like to what end, and there's two things that usually come the answer. There's lots of answers, but the two big ones I get is usually, well, the day kind of peters out, and so we just do it then, so it's done, which tells me, oh, well, let's just do more service then. Oh, no, wait, because they don't have the energy, they need to get through it. But two, we're willing to do things when the intent really delivers. And the ceremony of the fire, which is the Saturday night ceremony, fire and that whole deal is just so amazing of a ceremony, particularly in the with the fall, at least at dusk, but particularly in the evening, and it then gives you the chance to because people just had a great experience. So you don't want to, I think we all know biblically that saying, you don't put new wine into old wineskins. To think of this in the old format and the old framing is a mistake. This is something that most people go through and love and aren't trying to get out of there because they didn't like it. They want to, after that ceremony, get together, have a great Cracker Barrel, have a party, and the next morning you can even kind of build that. So that's the opportunity that a lodge has in front of it. So,
Well,
Sean, I didn't
Scott,
mean to step on you.
if we weren't sure who the senior member on the call was, dropping the Old Testament reference really confirmed. Really, that was good. The best analogy you could come up with was old wine or new wine in old wineskins. You're gonna
I'm
have
also
to,
the guy
yeah,
with good chirping. I do
yeah.
like
You're
that.
gonna have to shape. They're gonna
Great.
work on that one a little bit. So, um, I do think Moccasin Man made a really good kind of point here, right? Like, which I think is. He said, hey, like, someone said that come back, it's new induction, and he said, yeah, but I really like my induction too. So, one of the things I want to share with people is like, I love my induction. We came down at Teal Store Scout Camp in the spring of 1997, walked into the ceremonies ring, the fire was going, the headdresses, the whole 9 yards. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I want to do this, right? And then I went to NOAC the next year, came in the arena. I saw the chief get his bonnet. I was like, oh man, I'm going to be the national chief someday. Josh and Scott didn't work out, as you guys know, but like like that aspiration was a thing. I think the thing that's hard for us as members, so Moccasin Man, great name, love saying that, is we got to remember that like, yeah, this thing really clicked with us, but as I mentioned, I'm the only guy from my ordeal that ever came back. Like it didn't click for a lot of other people, and I think the goal here, which is going to be hard, and we all got to pull together as a brotherhood to do it, is can we keep the stuff that we all loved? We've talked a lot about service, we've talked a lot about brotherhood, we've talked a lot about the ceremonies. Can we keep the things that made all of us on this live stream say, this is pretty awesome, I want to do it? And can we change the way that we do that so the other 90 people that walked out the door also want to do it with us? Because this thing is just a lot more fun and a lot better, right, when there's a lot more of us doing it together. So, Sean, I know you got a thing we got to work on. I'll throw it over to you for that.
Yeah, I think mine is a little similar to Scott's, but actually I think Matthew just made a comment to this reference, which is like, and something to the effect of like, hey, this is a lot on the lodges, right? And I don't think any of us sitting here tonight would tell Matthew or anyone watching that like this is going to be easy. We know this is a lot of work, right? Both the transition and even sustaining the new thing. But I think it's really important that we do it and we do it well. This is a pivotal time for, not just the OA, but scouting. I think we all know that, right? And And our goal here in doing all of this is to try and make all of your lodges stronger by having more people come back, right? And so if there's ever a time where like, you might have to go out and find a person, or stretch, your to the far depths of your volunteer board, and reach really down into the roster, right? Like, but I think that's the gamble, right? Is if there are lodges that are struggling, that might be hard, right? But what I would say to that is, like, please reach out to people on this call. Your lodges all get peer coaches. The further and further along we get in this process, the more and more people we know are doing it. You might be able to reach out to whoever's dog is currently chewing on a squeaky toy.
That's mine. Yeah, she's over there. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I was thinking about it because I'm like, is that my dog? But yeah, I mean, yeah, please, like, reach out, right? Like, we want nothing more than to help. I think, all of us on this call, to say we've been working hard on this is an understatement. And I answer dozens of emails every day about this. And so, whether it's the question that was dropped in the chat, or you've got your own thing going on, like, don't sit on your own and try and figure this stuff out, right? Reach out and ask the questions. That's the thing I'm worried about, Ed, is, people trying to figure this all out on their own, and maybe not delivering the best thing that we can.
Yeah, I hear that. I think some people asked about kind of the logistics of doing this. I would definitely recommend a couple things. Number one, yeah, do your induction experience if you can, separate from a normal kind of current ordeal weekend. You guys want to focus on that, but it is a great substitute for like a fellowship, right? I mean, again, I want to come back to changing the paradigm. Your members will really find this fun. I mean, I found it fun. I found it really meaningful to go through. I think you'll find the same thing. But I'd also say, right, that like you asked these questions about how we train people, how do we prep people. We're going to try this alley-oop thing again, Scott. It all comes down to just one thing, which is
go experience it.
Go experience it. And I think when people do it, that was much better that time. That was you, and you're ready to sign alongside LeBron any day now. So that that really will, I think, be kind of be the big thing for people when they see it. There's questions about luminary training. We've got a whole syllabus of that. Every lodge, their first cohort of luminaries, we do a Zoom training. Scott mentioned it's 6 hours, right? They can go do that with us, and then you guys again be able to pick that up and train your people locally and piggyback on top of that. But look, I know we're talking a lot about this in an excited way. I know we're all excited. I want to reiterate to everyone, this is going to be a process to get this thing rolling. The ask is by April of next year, your lodge runs that induction experience. Got some time to plan for that. As Scott mentioned, there's some lodges that are really diving into this head first, right? And they've started doing it already. There's going to be other lodges that are going to flip over in April of next year, and that's okay, right? You got to move at the speed your lodge can handle. I couldn't agree more with Scott's point, which is wherever you fall on that continuum of July 16th to April 30th, 2027, the critical thing is do it really well, right? And be prepared for it and deliver it and do it at a quality that's going to get people really excited. So there's a question here. What opportunities will be there for former Langomats to become luminaries, to get good training? Scott, you're, like I said, Captain Luminary Training. You want to just tell a quick story about what you guys are doing, seems like every night these days?
Yeah. So as in the current state, Sean is a master of logistics, everybody. So if you'd like to try to think, how do you use one Zoom account to provide 3 2-hour training modules for several hundred people? By the way, spread across 4 different time zones for the most part. We have Sean has really figured out an amazing scheduling for this. How this works, and we will continue offering these for the next number of months for sure. Is that we offer the opportunity for you to sign up for a cohort. So what the cohort typically does is, like, I just led one cohort number 4, and we were the last 3 Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we met for 2 hours online. Myself and a great youth leader out of Philadelphia, Kenny. We partnered. There's a slide deck. There's a ton of notes, and it is a very interactive sort of training. And so how we do that is we have you watch the videos ahead of time. We have you go through the manual ahead of time. This is not so much that we're trying to get information in your brains. We're actually trying to create an awareness and a world, kind of a picture of that. So these luminary training developments, I just did a bunch of reformatting on them all. We're just getting those tight. We want to make sure all the small things like the animations and the speaker notes are real clean and easy for you. Those are all going to be being put into the portal. We're continuing to lead those luminary trainings for you guys over the next, but we're adding more and more people who really like this and are part of it. And that's going to be something that your lodge is going to do. Ed, I think Sean or you might want to talk about the coaches that lodges will have that will help them to go through all this kind of stuff. But that's a big part of how the luminaries are going to get served their reality.
That's a Sean Knight question. I got Moccasin Man in the chat trying to slide into my DMs. So, Moccasin Man, my email is like an open secret on the internet. It is going back to old people. It is elynes@gmail.com, which is the exact email you would expect an old person to have. Maybe AOL, but I'm
I was going to say
post
he
date
also
that.
has
Yeah.
AOL address as well.
I am old enough that I had an AOL screen name. I'm going to date myself here. I won't give you the actual screen name, but it was an AOL screen name, and it was based around Nirvana, which tells you all about the year and time and everything. That was like when Nirvana was cool the first time. I've noticed the kids are back into Nirvana again today, yeah, which is great. So, Sean, you want to talk about the lodge coach thing real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So I
And
think I kind of dropped this.
Also,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
talk about the sign up for the luminary.
Mr. Dangly Legs. No, AOL was actually an internet service back in the day. You had to take the phone
America
off the
Online.
hook, and it dialed in. I love that. Moccasin Man. It's ELYNES, just my name @gmail.com. So, anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll take Scott's tee up first to round his out. So luminary training and sign up. So that gets distributed to your lodge. So if you remember, Scott said earlier, right, there's sort of this 3-step process where your lodge sends their core people to see it. And then the next step is you'll do it where you'll need to have your luminaries. So once you get that see it step complete, our team sends out an email that says, hey, here's a whole bunch of stuff you need to know. And included in that stuff you need to know is a schedule of all the luminary trainings. And I will shamelessly admit that I am multitasking, which is scheduling the next 12 cohorts of luminary training starting in mid-August going through October right now. And so those dates basically from now, I think that'll get us to cohort 31. So shows you how many of those we'll have done between July and now. And so your lodge leadership will get those and can work with the luminaries to get them signed up so you all can participate in those. Switching gears to the other thing about the coaches, right? So to my point earlier about like ask for help, one of the things that we set up in this process is that the first time a lodge does this and does their do one, right, that step 2, no lodge is ever doing this without the support and guidance of a trained peer coach. And so those are folks that have maybe been early adopters, they might be section leadership, lodge leadership, and they volunteered their time and treasure and talent to get trained. We've got, I think, about 70 of those folks, and we'll do some more training later this year to increase that. And so every section, Exemplar Lodge, and every lodge going through it when they do their do one will pick a person from this roster of coaches across the country, and then they're there for you, right? You guys meet together, you email. It's another relationship you develop. Hey, we know you've done this. We got this question, right? Kind of like almost like you're a luminary to doing the process, right? They're the ones that know this well and help guide you through it. And so really excited about that and super thankful. I'm sure we have some watching tonight for those folks and the time they've committed. They also come to the event, so you'll get to meet them in person. They'll be there. If you've got a last minute question, they're right there on site. You don't got to try and pick up the phone in the woods and call someone with no service. They'll be there right alongside you from when you start planning all the way until your event's been successful and is completed.
Cool. My favorite antic dinosaur asked if there'll be anything on the new induction at the Jamboree. Chief, I know you, actually, when do you go to the Jamboree?
This Saturday, I fly out in the morning.
Oh, brutal. Have fun.
It'll be great. Large staff, largest since 2017. We're piloting the new Brotherhood, which will
Is this
be
your first Jamboree you've ever been to?
Well, you don't have to wrap me out, but yes, it is.
No, I could actually tell by your enthusiasm. Continue.
But yeah, we'll be piloting the new Brotherhood. Lots of other cool things going on. It'll be a great time.
Yeah, so for those going, there'll be a lot of OA stuff at the Jamboree. I really knocked Josh off his game there. We're going to work on that. But yeah, we're going to pilot the new Brotherhood ceremony. So for new induction stuff, that's really the big thing there. It'll be the first time we do the new Brotherhood ceremony. We're going to do it at the Summit Circle. It's going to run just like we did the rollout for the new induction. We'll do a pilot at the Summit Circle, just like we did the induction pilot at the NCOC. It's going to go into the fall. If your lodge has done a lodge inductions experience, you're going to be able to offer the Brotherhood as a pilot. So we'll have a lot of lodges. We want lots of feedback, lots of input on it. So there'll be an opportunity for you to sign up and offer that anytime from kind of the fall into November. Take some feedback on that. We'll make some revisions and we'll roll out the final version of that next year. So great to hear. Right, we got a bunch of folks. I think all the OA stuff. To keep me honest, guys, 26th. July 26th, right? Is that the big day? That's the big OA day.
25th and the 26th are two big days.
Saturday
for the OA. Yep, cool. So there you go.
And it's in the evening. I don't know about. You should wait if you're going to the Jamboree. You should get to the OA Operation Arrow and ask about how to do that.
There are the guys in those zesty blue shirts everywhere, all over the Jamboree.
That's right. That's right.
So were you, Scott? Were you ever on like a service corps or anything at a Jamboree?
Yeah,
1977 or 80, whatever.
Right, Erner and I were on it together in 1989, and excuse me, no, I went in 1989 as a scout, and then in 1993 I was on the
service corps. I did service corps in 2001. I did the OA show in 2005. Sean, you ever do an OA staff at the Jamboree?
I've never been to the Jamboree.
Wow! Oh man!
Josh
So
raises his hands in terror. Who is about to leave for his first Jamboree?
So
Alright.
These Jamborees are awesome.
when I was on service corps in 2001, the Jamborees were still at Fort AP Hill, Josh. So they weren't at the summit. Very different, really hot, and was not a big service guy, and so. I would get my service assignment every day, and then I would go off, and I would just go. The only air-conditioned place at the Jamboree were the bathrooms, and I would just go to the bathroom trailer for like 8 hours and just hang out in there, and then come back at the end of the day and like report back after my day
It's
of
not
service.
shocked me one bit.
I was not a good airman at the Jamboree. I think the summit, joking aside, Scott and I have done a couple Jamborees at the summit. Scott more than me, but the summit is a much better place, I think, to do a Jamboree than AP Hill ever was. It's totally awesome. And if you're watching this, have a great time. Go find Josh, shake his hand, get him to sign your sash. It's pretty awesome. So we got 2 more minutes left here. If your lodge is going to the Jamboree, go see Operation Arrow. They can help you guys set up if you want to. Try to participate in whether that's the Brotherhood pilot or anything else. But there's also going to be an OA rendezvous coming back to the Jamboree for the first time in a long time. So if you're an airman, big gathering for you at the Jamboree, which is pretty exciting. Obviously, the service corps is going to be all over the place. What else we got? Any other kind of Jamboree programs, Josh? You want to promo here?
For sure. The rendezvous is also not just for airmen. You can bring a friend that's not in the OA. We encourage you to do that. Come have a good time. We also have the Summit Circles, so you can see a replication of our original founding place at Treasure Island, and you can see it at the summit. And then we also have Legacy Experience, which is the unveiling of our new OA statue, representing the past, the present, and the future. We have a cool history tent, which is AC'd, so if you're looking to come cool off, come join us in the tent. It'll be a great time, see the statue, and just enjoy all the OA has to offer. But those are a couple really cool opportunities. We're also doing the first triathlon ever for the Jamboree, so that'll be awesome. But we look forward to having you guys.
That's awesome. Well, we're hitting our time here. We're wrapping up, and I think it's been great. So first of all, to everyone who joined, thanks tonight. This was awesome. They always never done anything like this before. We've had our kind of produced live streams, we've had our webinars, we've never had a chance where we've just gotten out here and interacted with Airmen live like this. So if you joined us tonight, I hope you got your questions answered. Hope you enjoyed this. I know I really enjoyed the conversation with Josh and Sean and Scott here. I enjoyed engaging with all of you guys here in the chat. I'm hoping that we'll go ahead and have the opportunity to do this again, maybe with more of the national officers. I think it's really critical, right, especially as we're going through this really exciting moment for us, that we continue to find ways to get what we're doing at the national level closer to you all in the field, hear more, understand more, and help you guys kind of think about this, because at the end of the day, like Scott said a bunch of times, right, we're all in this thing together. We're all a bunch of brothers, all trying to live this admonition and figure out how to get more people to do it with us. So as we wrap up tonight, last word always goes to you, Chief. So send us off.
Thanks, Ed. I appreciate you all joining us. It was great to joke around with you guys, see your awesome names, and learn more about the new induction, hear your stories, your experiences. And I look forward to the future of the Or the Arrow, where we're going together. We cannot do it without you guys. So thank you all for buying in and looking forward to the months ahead and the years ahead. So thank you guys and have a great night.